Welcome aboard Beyond the Engine Room, a podcast produced by Rob Peterson, an ex-Marine fitter who tells us about his travels around the globe, some of the characters he met, the ports he saw, and even a glimpse inside the engine room. Okay, all right, let's dive right in. Today we're checking out Beyond the Engine Room with Rob Peterson.
Oh, yeah.
A podcast all about his experiences on the P&O Canberra cruise ship.
This isn't just any old ship either.
Right. I was reading about this thing. Pretty fascinating.
It really is.
So first off, it was built in the same shipyard as the Titanic.
Yeah, launched in 1960, the Canberra, from the Harland and Wolff shipyard in Belfast. Famous place.
Well, let's hope this one's story ended a bit better.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
The Canberra served as this grand ocean liner, imagine, sailing all over the globe.
Wow.
But get this, it was later refitted as a troop ship for the Falklands conflict.
No way.
Yeah.
That's wild. He talks about those refits in Southampton.
Tough gig, those refits. Especially during winter.
Yeah, can you imagine? Working on a massive ship in freezing temperatures?
Brr.
Wind, rain,
Oh,
the whole works.
Exactly. It makes you appreciate what those guys went through.
And that's where one story starts. Rob's sharing a tiny freezing cabin with his buddy Paul.
Oh, no.
After a week, Paul just decides, nope, I'm going home.
Can't blame him.
Right. And he sets off for Cardiff on his motorcycle.
On a motorcycle. In that weather.
Yep. Icy roads, probably barely any visibility.
That's dedication.
Talk about tough. But before Paul leaves, Rob asks him for a favor.
Oh, what's that?
To pick up a care package from his dad.
Oh, that's sweet. Like a little taste of home.
Totally. He even compares opening it to like a World War II prisoner getting a Red Cross parcel.
I love that analogy.
Me too. So what's inside? Chocolate, soup, coffee.
Eat essentials.
Exactly. Plus a tiny electric heater for hot drinks.
Smart. Gotta stay warm somehow.
And then, the kicker, at the bottom of the bag, miniatures of whiskey.
Huh. Classic dad move.
The best.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. You've got this massive steel structure.
Okay.
Okay, you might think it would protect you from the elements, but it doesn't really. The heating systems are probably offline. While they're doing repairs, parts of the hull could be open, and you're right there on the water. That wind just cuts right through you.
So it's not a place you want to be without a good coat on.
Definitely not.
And so we've got Rob and Paul, and they're working on this refit.
Yeah.
And they managed to find a heater.
Oh, that's great.
An electric heater. Now, you wouldn't think that would be such a big deal.
No, not at all.
But it is.
In a shipyard. Finding a working heater. It's gold.
So, I mean, where did they find it?
Well, that's the question, isn't it? Was it left behind on the Canberra?
That gives you a sense of just how difficult it must have been to be there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it wasn't all bad, because Rob and Paul knew that their work was going to take them to some warmer places.
Oh, that's right.
They were going to be doing some seagoing maintenance. So what exactly is seagoing maintenance?
Well, it can be a lot of things. Engine repair, hull inspections, anything that needs to be done while the ship is at sea.
And that would take them all over the world.
It could.
I mean, that's pretty amazing. So Rob sailed on the Canberra, which was nicknamed the Great White Whale.
I've heard of that.
Yeah. And we're focusing on this one particular voyage in 1991 through the Mediterranean.
Okay.
He stopped in places like Tenerife, Madeira, and Lisbon.
Sounds nice.
It does. But for the crew, shore leave was limited.
Oh, really? So for them, it was all about the journey, not the destination.
Exactly.
Well, that's where the social scene comes in, right?
Okay.
Rob really paints this vivid picture of the crew bars. There are like these incredible melting pots.
And I love this little detail that he mentions, that he was trying to learn Filipino phrases.
Oh, that's crazy.
I can only imagine, like, the hilarious moments that must have come from that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the humor was huge.
Right.
You know, that shared laughter, those casual interactions in the bars.
Yeah.
Those were crucial for building that sense of community.
So picture this. He's in the bar, and these showgirls and dancers come pouring in.
Whoa.
And they're still in their elaborate costumes.
Wow. What kind of costumes are we talking about?
Well, he describes seeing cowboys, African animals, even French maids. Like, the scene is constantly changing. It must have been a visual feast.
That's wild.
It is.
It sounds like, you have these hardworking engineers and crew members, right, in their work clothes, and then suddenly, boom, they're surrounded by all this glitz and glamour.
I know. It's like two worlds colliding in this one lively space. And it's such a vivid image, isn't it? It really captures the unique atmosphere of life on board the Canberra.
It does. It's kind of surreal.
Anyway, New Year's Eve rolls around, and Rob decides to, he decides to let loose a little.
As one does on New Year's Eve.
Exactly. And where does he end up? The crew bar, of course.
Makes sense. I imagine that's where most of the crew would gather to celebrate, right?
Absolutely. It's like their own little world down there, away from the passengers and all the fancy dining rooms.
Yeah, a place where they can really be themselves and let their hair down, so to speak.
Exactly. So Rob's in the crew bar, and the place is packed. Everyone's having a good time.
Sounds like a pretty standard New Year's Eve party so far.
Right. But then things take an unexpected turn. A Scottish piper shows up.
A Scottish piper. Now, that's not something you see every day, especially not in a crew bar.
I know, right? And this piper, he's in full regalia. Kilt, sporran, the whole 9 yards.
Wow. That must have been a sight to see. I bet the atmosphere in the bar just went up a notch.
I can only imagine.
It's those unexpected things that you remember.
Exactly. But, as with every epic night, the party eventually had to end.
And then comes the reality of the morning after.
Right. Now, Rob doesn't go into too much detail about the party itself. He just says that time became a blur.
Ah, the good old time became a blur. The classic sign of a truly memorable night.
But I think it's safe to say that he and his cabin mate, John, embraced New Year's Eve spirit. Maybe a little too enthusiastically.
I think we've all been there.
Yeah, I think we can all relate to that feeling. But the real kicker comes when they have to return to duty after the party.
Oh no, I can already imagine it was not pretty.
Rob actually compares their movements to those of a, and I quote, hungover sloth.
Oh my goodness, that is a very vivid image.
I know, right? You can just picture him shuffling around the ship.
Yeah, just trying to function, blinking away the sunlight.
Exactly. And, part of their duty involved checking in on the engine room.
Oh yeah, the engine room, the heart of the ship. Can't exactly skip that.
Nope. But from the sounds of it, their engine room visit was extremely short-lived.
I bet. I doubt they were eager to spend too much time surrounded by the noise and heat down there.
I don't blame them. So where did they end up?
Let me guess. Somewhere quiet. Dark. Maybe with a slight breeze.
Close. They found refuge in a cabin, but not just any cabin.
All right, now you really got me curious.
This cabin was packed with life jackets.
Life jackets, right?
And really, of all the places to recover from a big night out, they chose the life jacket storage room.
Okay, that is just hilarious. I mean, talk about irony, right?
It doesn't get much more ironic than that.
Yeah.
We're focusing on his 1992 trip to Bremerhaven, Germany.
Germany. What was he doing there?
It was for a refit on the SS Canberra. A big job, apparently.
Ah, the Canberra, a classic ocean liner. I bet that refit was a major undertaking.
Absolutely. But what's really fascinating is how this routine work trip turned into something much more. It's all about the unexpected encounters and the little moments that make a story come alive. And this one's full of them.
You've got me hooked already. Where do we begin?
Well, it all starts with Rob getting the lucky break. He was chosen to be a minibus driver.
A minibus driver for the refit.
Yep.
To ferry the crew between the shipyard and their hotel.
Oh, so like a shuttle service.
Exactly, like a shuttle service.
Okay.
And he wasn't alone in this either. There was a whole crew of drivers.
Oh, really?
John, Derek, another John.
And the other John.
Because there's always another John, right?
Of course there is. That's funny.
Yeah, and this little detail about the crew of drivers, I think it kind of hints at the camaraderie that's woven throughout Rob's story.
Yeah, I can see that.
So before even reaching the shipyard, they embark on a proper road trip from Cardiff to Harwich to catch the ferry to Germany.
So they drove the minibuses all the way from Wales.
Yep, all the way from Wales
to
Germany. Right. It is a journey.
Yeah.
And of course, no work trip is complete without a bit of fun, right?
Of course not.
So they make a pit stop at the ferry bar, enjoying a company-sponsored meal and drinks.
Nice.
Little team bonding before the hard work begins.
Sounds like a good start to the trip.
Yeah, I mean, you can almost picture them raising a glass to the adventure ahead.
Yeah, I can see that, yeah.
But then imagine the scene the next morning.
Okay.
They arrive in Hamburg, ready to conquer the German Autobahn in minibuses, probably not designed for those speeds.
Oh, that's a funny image.
Yeah.
I mean, minibuses hurtling down the Autobahn.
I know, right?
Sounds more like a scene from a movie than a work trip.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
But reality sets in. Soon enough, they finally arrive in Bremerhaven, greeted by the chill of a German winter, and it's back to business at the shipyard.
Okay, so the fun's over.
Well, for the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, back to long hours and limited time for sightseeing.
Right.
But even with the demanding schedule, they managed to squeeze in some local fun.
Okay.
A darts match against the Germans at a local pub, no less.
Oh, a darts match.
Yeah.
That's classic.
And you'd think the Germans might have a few World War II jokes up their sleeves, right?
You would think so, yeah.
Yeah. But Rob recounts that it was actually the Brits who kept those jokes coming.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. It kind of challenges our assumptions, doesn't it?
It does, definitely. And Rob's story doesn't stop there.
Oh, there's more.
Yeah, another interesting encounter happens right on board the Canberra itself.
Okay.
In the Goanese mess.
The Goanese mess.
He goes down there hoping to catch a football match,
Okay.
but walks into something much more culturally significant.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, his experience in the Goanese mess offers a really unique perspective on the dynamics of shipboard life and the diverse cultures it brings together.
I can imagine.
So picture this. Rob is settling in, ready for some football. When the Goanese crew finishes their shift and it's movie time,
Oh.
it's a subtle shift, but Rob picks up on it.
Okay.
He understands that he's in their space and their traditions and routines take precedence.
That's very observant of him.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear what happens next.
You too.
Does Rob insist on the football game, or does he try to blend in with the movie crowd?
Yeah. What stands out to you in this situation?
Well, Rob actually makes a choice that speaks volumes about his character.
Okay.
Instead of pushing his own preferences, he switches off the game,
Oh, wow.
showing respect for the Goanese crew and their space.
That's a really great gesture.
It is, yeah. It really does show a lot about his character.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a small gesture,
Yeah.
right?
But those little things
So it means a lot.
mean a lot, yeah.
So what happens next? I mean, does he just sit there awkwardly?
Well, as a gesture of appreciation, maybe even a peace offering,
Okay.
the Goanese crew shares their curry with him.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
incredible.
It is.
It really highlights the power of cultural exchange.
Yeah.
Rob's story takes another interesting turn when he and his fellow drivers
Okay.
get an early pass to take those minibuses back to the UK.
Oh, wow. So they just
Yeah,
left
they just left.
early.
Yeah, and it seems like a minor detail at the time.
Yep.
But it ends up having a significant impact on their experience.
Oh, how so?
Well, at the time, it probably just felt like, a welcome break from the shipyard grind.
Yeah, get to go home early?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it turns out to be incredibly fortunate timing. Remember the engine room troubles back in Southampton?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it caused delays
Mm-hmm.
and forced the remaining crew to work even longer hours.
Oh, so while Rob is back home
Exactly.
having a cuppa,
Yeah.
his mates are still stuck there.
Still slogging away in the shipyard.
Oh, man.
It really highlights the unpredictable nature of life at sea, right?
It does, yeah.
And how a seemingly small change in plans can lead to major differences in experience.
Yeah, you never know
You never know.
what life's going to throw at you.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder if there was a bit of fate involved, right?
And you know what? This is just one chapter in Rob's time on the Canberra. We haven't even touched on some of his other adventures.
Oh, sounds like we'll have to save those tales for another deep dive.
Absolutely. Until then, keep exploring, keep connecting, and keep an eye out for those little moments that make life extraordinary. You've been listening to Beyond the Engine Room, a production by Rob Peterson.
And keep those engines running.